All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Hot Sports. I'm your host, Sam, my co host, King and Misty, joining us. And again, Jeff also joining us live from Ghana. Again, I always get jealous when I have to introduce them being in Ghana. Gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you guys to today's show.
Thank you.
Well, just like usual, we do have a lot to talk about. As usual, we would like to start our segment with a section where we call "Sad but Painfully True," and this actually happened in the Jamaican Premier League. A coach actually got on the field to sub a goalie out because the goalie could not perform. The goalie let in two goals. The coach suspected he had taken money from the other team's coach. When I saw this clip, I'm actually trying to upload a clip right now. When I saw this clip and the interpretation of the explanation from the coach, I thought about the situation of Ghana. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Sometimes you never see anything like this happen, around the European leagues or anything. But when it comes to third tier, um, team, then we start, to see that certain things like this happen. And I know that there's a certain moment where we saw. I'm not sure what team it is. One of you guys can correct me. I'm not sure if it was Confeso or whatnot, where the coach actually chased the referee off the field in Ghana. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but I just wanted to bring this up to lead us into the program that sometimes when we look at certain things like this happen to these minority teams like Jamaica, Ghana, and any other place, I just want you guys to just take a look back and what exactly is wrong with these minority countries trying to move forward in the world of football. What is going wrong? Like, what is it? Is it money influence? Is it lack of the sports IQ? What exactly is it that you guys think could be going wrong with us? Jeffy, go ahead.
I mean, Sam, I feel like this horse is dead, and we've been beating it for a long time. We know what's wrong. We talk about it time and time again on this show. Um, Mismanagement, lack of accountability. Like you can go on and on and on and on. I think for me, it's a lot of times we don't want to put in the work up front, but we expect to get the same results.
Right,
Like
right.
when you look at the production that goes into, forget Premier League. Premier League is like top of the heap in England. Even like the championship games, right? Even
Hmm.
the league games, the production and the level of thought and like management, strategic management and planning that goes into it, it's not the same level that's going into ours. So we
Right.
can't expect the same results. We can't expect the same output or the same outcome. So I think when we all studied computer science, they told us like garbage in and garbage out, right?
Right.
When you put garbage in, you're gonna get garbage out. Simple. So we're very good at putting garbage in, and then we sit there and rub our hands, hoping like diamonds come out. And then we see garbage and we go, and then the next morning we put more garbage in, and then we expect that it's just where we are. So for me, it's like, what do I think is wrong? I think it's us. It's not just like the processes. It's not just the management. It's us as a people because you see it in almost every industry. Look at this Black Star Line festival that they came and did, and then before that was like I forget the name of it, the free festivals they did in Ghana. Look at the planning and the effort in terms of like management that went into those. When you see the output and then you compare it to our own production, it's like night and day. So for me, it's not anything that is gonna make keep me up at night because I know where things are going wrong. The reality of it is, are we willing to do what it takes to turn it around? And if the
Mm.
answer is no, then we just get comfortable with the substandard of whatever it is that we have.
Well, Mister, go ahead. We'd like to get your take on it.
Well, me, I'll always say it's the attitude of the people that transcends to the football or all aspects of that economy. Jamaica is noted for the same issues you are going through: the corruption, the mismanagement. They are facing the same thing. So it's just the people, as Jeff said, it's the people. It's not really surprising if the economy or the country has systems in place in other areas. It will trickle down to football. Jamaica is just like us. In fact, they even believe they are even from us. Most of the indigens are Ghanaians by birth or by.
I mean, we don't believe they are from here.
Okay, yes, yes. So they are from here. So yeah, it's the same people. So what's happening? I'm not so see in our just last what's it this week when just the past week when there's something. Kotoko went to play football and there was an issue. They believe the referee has taken bribe and they had to supporters from the opponent team were just destroying the Kotoko timbers and other things. So these things are part of our life now. It's normal. Even just last week too, there was a similar incident. Before the players came out of the tunnel, was it one of the Ghana Premier League, not even a first division? One supporter went straight to the referee and told the referee that we know the scoreline is going to be a 3-2, but be careful you don't, because we know you've taken bribe and what. And true, and of course he was just heckled by the policemen. They took him away. By the end of the game, too, it was a 3-2. You can just Google it. And they are happening here, so I'm not be surprised. It's there. It's part of our game. Jamaica's situation is just like us. I understand.
Well, there was this show on. I think Jeff, you pointed me out to it. FIFA Uncovered or something like that on. On Netflix, and I saw it, and I kind of saw how low us, the kind of developing nations per se, how low we go to kind of put our nation under just for our own pocket, right? And then you look at these European nations, you look at other nations, and you look at, of course, all of them are bribes, right? But then you look at how much they invest, whatever bribe they're going to take into their people. And then, when it comes to our leaders, we think about our pockets. We're watching it, and not to mention countries, but some of the European nations are telling the countries bidding on the World Cups, according to the documentary, that, hey, we need a stadium, we need this, we need you guys to sponsor our league. Where when they go to Africa, they're asking for $500,000. They're asking, we go to these developing nations, they're asking for $1 million just for their own pocket. When they're supposed to be, influencing, or just even if you're going to take something, which I'm not, saying that it's the right thing to do, it should definitely go towards the investment of the sport, right? But, I look at it and, I ask myself, kind of like Jeff, you're saying, I feel like maybe it being in our blood does contribute to it. But before I go on, we'd like to give a shout out to Squazi Jetua watching us from Bamiyanko. Very interesting name. I'm pretty sure it's in Ghana. Thank you for watching, and thanks for your contribution. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'd like to just, with that and with the highlight of the day, we'd like to move on to our segment. And I know we do have a lot to talk about. Last week, we really could not finish. We could not go deep into what we were discussing, which is Ghana's contribution to the World Cup, our search for a new coach. I know we do have a game coming up. Mr. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think March 20th in the African Cup of Nation qualifications. We still don't have a solid coach as of now. Camp is about to open right now. We see a lot of the Ghanaian players making moves, and we're going to talk about all that, right? So let's start by trying to wrap this up. I think we got to a certain point where the question itself was. Now, I think one question we couldn't cover last week. Do you guys believe the players were playing scared, going into that World Cup, or just the coach was coaching scared?
Scared of
answering. So, I mean, see, I want you to take this on Beautiful. Were the players playing scared, or the coach was just coaching scared because obviously he knew he
Scared
was
of
not.
who? Scared of
yeah,
who?
scared of
It's not. You think about the. It's a bigger stage of football. Some of these players are young, all right. So let's take a prime example. I think you and I just talked a little bit before this, right? And we talked about Suleimana's contribution in the Premier League when he came in the Premier League, and his contribution in the in the World Cup, right? Comparing those two completely different players. Now let's look at Tariq Lamptey, his performance against South Korea, right? Let's look at Tariq Lamptey's performance when he's with his team at Brighton in England. Two completely different players. So with the whole thing piling up against players, let's bring the love back with all the pressure piling up on the players, right? Ghana went in the league in the tournament World Cup as an underdog. That's what everybody was expecting. Ghana is an underdog. As a player, or as a previous player or something playing competitively in this sport, do you think that actually made the players go in there kind of nervous and scared to make a mistake and recover, or the coach just did not care, or just play scared given the political influence that he had on them?
Well, World Cup is actually a very big stage. It's the best place you can display your talent. World Cup is where every player dreams of playing. I don't know if it's Messi once said that he would give away all his Champions League medals or trophy for just a World Cup. So definitely there'll be tense. I even think, even if you remember Argentina's first game, the players were tense. It's normal, but I don't blame. I think the boys in the World Cup didn't play that bad. The coach made the wrong decisions. And football is all about confidence. If you are in camp, or when the first 11 is mentioned and you realize that there are some players that don't deserve to be in and are in, definitely getting on the field, you will not be yourself. Mentally, you'll be down. So for me, it's normal for them to be tense. One, two, the selections were poor. See, and in football, sometimes even when one player is playing, you know that, oh yeah, if this guy is in the game or this guy is playing his favorite position, definitely there's a chance that we'll win. So you even bring out your best. You don't even need a coach to do anything. So definitely, I don't think it's normal for the players, but it's the coach's fault. The coach was actually scared because I felt like he was playing under the influence of the GFA selection-wise. So if you say yes, I'll blame the coach, not the players at all.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like the buck always stops with the coach. So if one scenario is true, if either of those scenarios are true, it's still the coach's fault. And maybe I'm putting too much on the coach, right? But if I'm a coach and we had 3 games, we played 3 matches in the World Cup. If there was one player who in the first match, I realized maybe this stage was too big for them, if they played in the second match, it was my fault. I wouldn't play in the second match. So if a coach sees, or even leading up to the match, if I see that a player is just not feeling up to it and they're scared, I'm not going to, maybe I'll bench them and have them come in like, something like that. But if you're a coach and you see your players are scared, or you have a player who's scared or tense, or again, there's anxiousness and you can be nervous and whatnot. But I think for me, scared, which is a pretty serious kind of like emotional state, I'm not going to play, or there's a way I'll coach you through it. It still comes back down to the coach, because at the end of the day, it's like the interesting thing about national teams is, unless you're Kevin Prince Boateng or Sule Muntari, you don't get fired from national team. But guess who gets, as a player, you don't get fired, but the coach gets fired because they are responsible 100%. And so for me, and also it's like matches are not won on the field, like only on the field, right? They're won in practice. So what are you doing in practice? What are you doing in the days leading up to, like one of my favorite sports quotes is by Aaron Meyer. He said, championships are won in the off season. It's not when the whistle is blown, that's when when the whistle is blowing, all it's going to expose is who's coming more prepared than the other person.
Mhm.
So for me, as a coach, it's part of your work. There's a reason why there's sports psychologists. Sports psychologists are there for almost one purpose and one purpose only, to build confidence. So if you see that your players need confidence building activities or something like that, and you're not doing it, and the players do end up showing up on the pitch scared, that's on you as a coach. So for me, everything starts with a coach. It might be an unfair thing because a coach might not see all of those things, and the player gets up there, or a player might show confidence, and then they get up there, and then they start playing scared. Yeah, that's why there's halftime. You either pull them off, or during the halftime, you build back the confidence. If a player plays 90 minutes scared, my guy, it's on you, the coach. You're seeing the whole field. The players on the pitch, they might be seeing one, purview or one perspective. You, the coach, and your technical team are supposed to see the whole field and see everything that's happening with every player. So if any of you, like either yourself or your technical team, notices that a player is playing scared or is showing unnecessary deference to like the opposition team, or maybe is not up for the challenge, you're supposed to do something about it. So for me, it stops with the coach. And I think to Amisty's point, it's one thing if the coach makes the right selections, and then the players show up and they're just not playing up to their ability. Then we start talking about, okay, maybe are these the right players for the coach, right? So to me, it's like unless you remove that doubt, because we don't know if Otoado had made the right selections, we may not be having this conversation.
Mhm.
And none of us would be wondering were the players scared or not. I guarantee you, 32 countries, however many countries were at the World Cup, there was a team. Every team had players who were scared. Like Amici said, it's the World Cup. It's the greatest stage to ever play the game on. So everybody was scared, but somebody went home with a trophy, right? So that's my thing. It's like if Argentina had not won, the World Cup, would we be talking about the game they lost to Saudi Arabia and saying, and pointing out all the issues? It would be more front and center. But since then, who's really talking about Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia? Nobody cares. They took the trophy home. So that's why I'm like, to me, that's what the difference is. Like, you as a coach are supposed to identify these issues and address them. And if you don't address them, it's hard to even start looking at how the players played or what the players were doing when you made the wrong selections to begin with, influenced by whether it's political, influences or whatever. At the end of the day, you still made the wrong selections, or the wrong changes or tactics in the game. So for me, it just doesn't make sense. We had the players who, like, if you look at our last game when Suleimana and all these players came on, you could tell that we had the players who have proven themselves, who have the mettle to be able to go and compete, right? So to not have played them to the maximum, it's on the coach, whether they were scared or not.
And to add to your point too, do you know for a funny reason, Ghana didn't take a sports psychologist to the World Cup, and it doesn't make any sense. You are taking we're the youngest team, a whole lot of players who had never played in any tournament for Ghana. And he didn't take a sports psychologist, rather took executive committee members and paid them $100,000 each. It doesn't show we are serious as a nation for a World Cup. So I don't know.
Well, the thing is, it comes to people as a shock, right? And I sit back and I say I'm not surprised at that. There were a certain time after the World Cup where folks who just went to the World Cup just to occupy space. I don't know what position they actually held. Were taking as much as $100,000. Where players were just taking less and everything, and they fill positions that are not really necessarily needed for the progress of the team, that are not really needed for the progress of the nation. But again, it goes back to what we discussed in the beginning of the show. They fill positions that are really beneficial to their pocket, not necessarily to the team, right? We talked about this, this incident where Ghana had the Black Satellites doctor had not been paid for like 4 years. And he came out complaining about that, and the coach had also not been paid and also complaining about that. So yet again, I asked this question, right? Do we have the right, I guess, administration for the Black Stars to really like progress, or do we just have the wrong coaching staff? What exactly is wrong? Because Yapi, I really want you to take this, right, and just kind of dissect it. Is it the right administration? Is it the right members? Is it the right staff that we have? The wrong staff we have, or is it just the players and coaching staff? What exactly is wrong?
So it all boils down to administration. Any good administrator will select a competent staff to manage any team. You understand? So you wonder if these administrators were managing the clubs, football clubs they own, the same way they're doing to the national team. Would you put a coach who is not competent to lead the national team? Would you decide not to pay your coaches for 4 years and expect them to enjoy the work they do, but not take bribe from players to play, or bribe from managers, other personal managers of these players, or agencies for their players to play? And it's administrators. It's nothing. See, if you have good administrators, you select a good team and plan well, training tours, and do everything. But if you don't have good administrators, people who care for their pockets, you can bring the best coach, Pep Guardiola, to the Black Stars, and we still fail. I'm telling you. So
that's this point. We create some of these people. Like, if you don't pay somebody for 4 years, where do you think they're gonna get? Like,
yes.
How do you expect them to even have transport to come to work?
But why are they still there, though, Jeff? Why are they still there if you're not being paid?
Because they take bribes from the players. I'm telling you.
Exactly. They're getting money from somewhere else. And also, I think for me, one of the hardest realities I've come to realize being in Ghana for the past month is talking to my cousin who is in a job. He's like, "Oh, they've not been paying 3 months." I'm like, "Why are you still there?" He goes, "Because if I leave and I go to the next company, the next company was also not paying employees for 3 months. So it's not like I'm changing my situation, but I forgo the money that this company owes me." Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that element of it, that part of it. And I was like, wait, what? Like, in my mind, I'm like, if you've not paid me, even if I leave and I go to another company, whenever your money's ready, my name is on whatever my fee, my salary was. So that's the reality of it. I've come to realize, maybe not everywhere, but the little bit that I've heard and understood so far. So it might be easier to kind of sit in a position and say, well, then just leave. Mm-hmm. But for them, and I think the more critical thing to Amis's point is, because the administrators are not paying them, the administrators turn a blind eye to the corruption or to the bribery that is going on. And then for the individual, it's like, well, okay, maybe I get paid, say, 2,000 cedis a month. Through bribes, I'm able to get 5,000 cedis. I've now increased my earning by 250%. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm not really going to push you. If you give me the agency to still be here and keep collecting 5,000 cedis, as opposed to me pushing for you to pay me 2,000, I will stay as long as I can, right? Mm-hmm. So now there's a symbiotic relationship there. The administrators get to keep the money. The people there who should be pushing and fighting for getting paid have a different incentive to not fight for it. So now we keep rotting until we go to the World Cup, we see a dismal showing, and then we all go, where are things going wrong, right? Unless it takes a third party to come into the situation and go, do you guys not see what you're doing? The circle that you're running in, it's a spiral that is just going down. It feels good in the moment, but once you step out and you take a broader look at it, that's when you realize that you've been digging yourself in a hole. And then the problem is, because it's now almost culturally ingrained, it becomes difficult to switch them out. That's why a lot of problems in Ghana, for me, I see it, especially with GFA, I'm like, get rid of everybody. Because you leave one person in there, that person becomes the person who's showing all the new people the ropes. Yeah. Right? That person becomes that person, so it's almost like with every problem in Ghana, get rid of all the adults, because they're broken men. You can't fix broken men. And let's bring up, let's build new men and women who can do the job. Now that's easier said than done, but I don't see it being something that, unless you have like a an authoritarian administrator who comes in, with a tunnel vision to solve this problem, regardless of the backlash, regardless of the results on the field, and is empowered by like whoever his or her supervisors are, whether it's the president, GFA, whatever, and they're able to empower this person and say, you know what, fix this, and we understand, and we're behind you, and that person has all that political backing to do it. Anyone else who comes in there is not going to be able to do it. One last point I want to add is I think this is the primary reason why FIFA does not want government involvement in football affairs.
Mm-hmm.
This is the primary reason, because this is the road that it leads to. Unfortunately for us, we're at the end of that road. But if you ask me, I now understand why FIFA doesn't want local governments being involved in football.
Let's take a look at this, and dive deeper into our next segment, right? We're definitely going to circle back to this because our topics are going to circle back to this, right? So we'll look at the recent transfers, and then we saw a whole lot of, for the first time, we've seen a lot of Ghanaian players move to the Premier League. I'm not sure. I mean, Jeff, I know you spent a tremendous amount of time just watching the football this weekend. So did Misty. I know. Congratulations to you guys anyway, taking that 2-1 victory. I'm be a man and just say we are in a rebuilding stage. We are in a rebuilding stage, so don't worry about Chelsea right now. But congratulations.
I'm not worried about Chelsea at all.
But I'm not worried. Congratulations to you guys. We're definitely gonna bounce back. But on a more serious note, we have a lot of players going into the Premier League, and I just want you guys to just individually, as many players as you guys can remember, I want you guys to assess the players. And me, I feel like if the whole performance of the World Cup, the career was actually being judged off of one game, off of this weekend, I think it was a major flop, right? Well, except Jeffrey Schlupp played a very beautiful game. He was honestly. I remember once. Besides the season, he got injured and got a little chubby. His coach did ask him to lose weight, but besides that, I'd never seen Jeffrey Schlupp actually, being such a bad player that he cannot be recalled into the senior team, right? Again, so we talked about Missy. I think we talked about. I want you guys to just assess Sulemana's performance. Missy, go ahead. What do you think about his performance in the World Cup?
In the Premier League?
In the Premier League. I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay. So for me, the team itself is not playing well. The team is in shambles. Yes. So and he just signed, I think, on Thursday. I'm sure he had about 1 or 2 trainings before Saturday. So I'm not surprised. The team is yet to play to his strength. He's a record signing, so definitely he'll be playing every week. For that one, I'm sure. So the team should just play to his strength, and the coach should understand how he plays. Because I realized that he was all over the place, like fish out of water. He was very confused, but it's normal. First game, Premier League, and I'm sure he has he wanted to prove a point to his Rene coach, because I think his coach made that comment that he's impatient. He could have taken his time. He was in a rush. The guy has not learned enough yet for him to move. So that's why he was just all over the place. Because I think in Bournemouth game, Antoine Semenyo wasn't bad at all. He was excellent. Yeah, he did the hold-up play very well. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of improvement from his side. You guys, Jordan was excellent.
Really?
Yes. Jordan. See, I saw Jordan do a lot of runs, a lot of hard work that I haven't seen him do in a long time. And he did a lot of fighting. Jordan's game for a 29, 30-year-old guy who still runs and fights like that, I don't think it's that bad. Today, I know Dede Ayew came on in the 90th minute, so of course, you can't do much. But I heard he did some headers and other things. So for me, Kamal Dino, he'll get, their team will definitely go to relegation, but he'll get better. He'll get better. The guy is
Yeah.
he's very good. He get better.
And I know what's it called. Salasu's team also lost, but he played a good game. He
Yes.
was holding that defense down. I think for me, it's the if you don't have two full what's it called center backs, and you have one good center back, but the second center back is not good. You have two bad center backs. Because
Yes.
every time somebody has to cover, if one person's not covering well, it means that the other can step up. If the other can, it's so. I think he was exposed many times, but to be honest, if I watched the game very objectively, it wasn't his fault. And he had a lot of good clearances and a lot of good tackles and things like that. So for me, he played a great game. And this weekend, I'll give it to four Ghanaians who played a good game. Tariq Lamptey. Tariq Lamptey balled. He played that right back position really well in a game that they were going to lose, but he was I think he held his own against who was it? I forgot who he was going up against. So Tariq Lamptey played a good game. Jeffrey Schlupp played a good game. And then for me, Salisu played a good game, and then Semenyo also played a good game. I think what's it called? Yeah, to your point, Andre Ayew, it wasn't much to be able to do a review of. But I also don't think they're bringing him to play like more than 60 minutes a game. I
Yeah.
think they recognize that he's old, so he's really going to do a lot of cleanup work in the last minutes, or he's going to help them, get a good foundation, and he comes up in the 60th, 70th minute. For me, Jordan, he was missing in the game for me. Like I think one of our chats, he was running up and down, and I'm like, Dad, you're going up against Lisandro Martinez, who's like this tall, and you should be able to eat that up. But look, I'm biased. I don't like Jordan Ayew. He knows that I know that, so I'm not even gonna hide it. And then I didn't see the Kamadin game, so I wasn't really able to pay attention to that.
But for me, I think Tariq Lamptey should move from Brighton because see when the what's his name Casado's issue is solved, Gross will come back to take over the right back position and he'll go back to the bench. So he should have moved in January, and because the guy, for me, seeing him in the FA Cup, he hasn't been that bad. He scored, I think, against Arsenal, I think,
Yeah,
weeks
last
ago. He last good. So he's not a bad player, but I don't know why the coach always puts him on the bench. And the guy who plays his position is not a natural right back, but plays that position. It means there's something wrong or something Tariq Lamptey should have done this January. He should have moved, gone for a loan move anywhere, France or I think Portuguese team wanted him. Or was it Sporting or something?
yeah,
He should have moved
yeah.
because with his talent, he shouldn't be on the bench in any team. Regardless, he has height issues. He's not really tall, but I
Yeah.
think he should be on the bench in any team. Trust me. For me, I even rate him above our Wan-Bissaka. Trust me.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
100%.
yes.
Like going forward, Tariq Lamptey is dangerous in
Yes.
advanced positions. Yeah.
And even Chelsea. So I'm really surprised Chelsea didn't take him back on him because Chelsea has right back issues.
See, this is the problem. I mean, see, this is the problem with English football. They place so much emphasis on height. That's one
Yes.
thing that has killed Tariq Lamptey's career.
Yes.
That's the reason why he didn't get the English call up. That's the reason why the coach is not playing him at Brighton. They're always worried about his height. He's a
Yes.
small guy. But my thing is, like, the guy, first of all, every short player is aware of their height before you, the coach, you are. And if you get a good player who understands their deficiencies and they're able to work around it, look at Lisandro Martinez. He knows he's short. But if you compare him to like Saliba and all of these other, center backs, I think he has like more aerial clearances than most center backs in the league. And he's the shortest center back in the whole league. He's aware of it. So he reads the game well. He knows how to position himself. Tariq Lamptey, to me, if you ask me, I don't think he's a right back. I think he's a winger. The way the guy plays, he needs to transition to the wing. Don't make your height an issue anymore, because the reason why for back line they're worried about your height is set pieces, crosses, and when crosses come in and all of those things. Remove yourself out of that equation. Go up front. He's already good on that right wing. Go and play a right midfield or something like that. or try that out and see if you can flourish. I think he can flourish because whenever I see the guy like the way he holds the ball and he moves it up the field, it's just beautiful to watch. And to me, I think he'll do better there.
Well, see, sometimes, right? I look at these plays, and you guys are absolutely right. One, his height is actually a major factor, right? But let's look at Salisus's performance. And see, I did ping you on Saturday. I told you to watch the game, switch the game from whatever you were watching, and watch Salisus's game. Jeff, I don't know if you actually. It seems like you watched it. Salisu had some actually 3 goal line clearances, but he gave up a goal. And this is an issue that we've always had with Salisu, even in the World Cup. During a cross, Salisu just waits for the ball to come to him, before he actually, does anything. So it goes back to what you guys are saying, and something that I agree with you guys. Is he not being considered because of his heritage, because of what he is, or because of his height? Because Salisu has height and he's not using it as much as he's supposed to. When you put the ball on the ground, even the commentator said it, right? When you put the ball in the ground anywhere in the goal, Salisu will do whatever he has to do to clear the ball. But when the ball is in the air, Salisu is constantly just standing still, waiting for the ball to come. A defender would just come in. An offensive player would just come in and hit it. Is height the main reason why, Tariq Lamptey has just stopped shining the way that we knew him to be? Or is just his confidence has just gone down since his injury?
No, the issue with Tariq, I still don't understand. Because for them to even play a non-natural right back in his position,
while he's not injured.
What?
I said why he's not injured. Or
why he's not injured. It means the coach doesn't have to. And I don't know what goes on in practice or what happens there, because it still doesn't make sense. But anytime they put the guy in the game, it delivers. And after when the right back in quotes comes, he goes back to the bench. So of course, height should be an issue for a defender, for a right back. Yes, you should have the height. But Salisu's issue, I think I mentioned it to you when he joined from Spain. When he joined Southampton, he was made to play with the team B because the coach was fired, believed that he wasn't ready, and because he's still learning, and he's still. They said he's 21, so he's still a young player.
I like the fact they said. Go ahead.
Yes, that's what they said. So he's still learning. So I believe with time he'll just mature. With time he'll learn a lot. But he's a player that is very inconsistent, and that is where my issue is. I remember one City game, he was like the top of town. The next game he was just giving up. I think he scored an own goal or something. So he needs time. You see, genuinely, if the team is performing better and he's not performing better, you see, but the whole team has been terrible.
Yeah.
15 points in 20 games or 21 games. That is bad. So it might be the team's performance affecting him now. So it might not be solely his fault.
So to me, I think it's an opportunity for him as well. Like
there is. That's what I'm gonna say, Jeff, because he's the only player, right? And I didn't really when the commentators were saying this, I didn't really believe it, so I had to do my research. He's the only player besides the goalie that has been selected for every single game. Yep. So this is his opportunity. I don't care if the team is doing is bad. I don't care whatever is happening.
No.
This is his chance, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. He can't go score and come and defend and then hold the midfield. So that's why I'm like that part. What I mean by his opportunity is, look, when a ship is sinking, when there's chaos, a lot of times that's when you can find some of the best opportunities. It's a good time for him to jump. Look, I believe 100% that Southampton is going to get relegated. 15 points, they're going to get relegated. This is a time to start shopping yourself. Talk to your agent. Have your agent start, making the right calls, bringing the right scouts to the game. Still play at the top level that you can play. Even if you ship 5 goals, a good scout can still pick out the good elements of your play and be able to get you a good move away from the club. like this is his time. Like I'll be honest with you 100%. If Manchester United today wanted to sign Salisu, I'll be behind him. Because I think the guy has the capacity. He can play. The thing is, that's why I'm like, as a center back, Sam, you and I are both, we've played center back. You and I have played center back together in the same match before. If one center back is not holding up the end of the deal, you both look bad. You both look bad. 100%. If the two of you are on the same page and able to like pivot and move together, one might not. I know I'm fat. But when I play my part and you play your part, I look good. Do you hear what I'm saying? So for me, it's who he's being partnered with, right? To your point, as a center back, if he's like the premier center back in that team, and he's got the most minutes, what that tells me is he's not had the same pairing consistently throughout his games. So what is the chemistry between him and the people that he's pairing with, right? It's something for the coach to see that the coach is still trying to find a good player who can pair up with him. So he's always going to play, but he's continuously going to switch out the other CB pairing until he finds one that he feels Salisu can play alongside with. So for me, I like, for instance, it's like we live in this day and age where whenever we're looking at defenders, it's almost like an absolute. Or how many goals have they conceded? Well, maybe when the goal was being conceded, he was on the other side of the pitch. So for me, I'm looking at him individually. If you look at his play, his positioning, the way he reads the ball, the way he's reading, like
his confidence,
bro, like the way he played against City, that was like all the stars aligning around in terms of the tactics from the coach, that his teammates playing, and all of a sudden, like when all of those things were right around him, he was shining. He bossed that game. The next game, his teammates don't deliver, and then there's pressure on him. I mean, if you're a defender, I don't care how good you are. You could be Carlos Puyol. If you have two forwards coming at you, the chance of them getting a goal is high. So for me, he's not in an environment that we can say solely based on his performance he should be judged.
And so, even to add to the fact, see, I remember last season, Varane and Maguire. Varane was ordinary, was terrible. I was like, so is this the Real Madrid Varane we have? But look at him this season.
Yeah.
You understand? So sometimes it's who you play with. For me, Salisu, at his age and his confidence, is top notch. Trust me, you wouldn't get it anywhere. Even with the team.
I mean, so are we saying that we didn't have the right pairing for him in the World Cup?
Who was he paired up with?
They paired him up with Amate. They paired him up with Juku.
Amate.
Of course, we mentioned the Amate issue because Amate was slow. A lot of times Amate was left behind. We mentioned this thing. See, and with Juku, they are all left-footed center backs, so they shouldn't be playing together. You understand? So definitely there'll be mistakes. Amate should have been the most experienced, brought out his confidence, even supported the boys. But Amate was always left behind. Amate still plays like the GSS school team we used to play. Just clear the ball, shots, and just kick the ball away.
With his hands down, always complaining, not focused.
Now, center backs are like midfielders. You should be a good passer of the ball.
Control the game.
Control the game. The game starts from you. But Amate gets the ball and just balloons the ball to the throw kick or somewhere else.
Amate is a walking yellow card.
Yes.
No, you can't use his pairing with Amate. Hey, no. I would rather come to Ghana Premier League and find the best CB and take it.
So wait. So should we be building? So wait, let's go from each level, right? So from defense in the Premier in our Ghana football, should we be building our defense around I'm sorry, Salisu?
Yes.
Who else? No. If your answer is no, who? Give me one name.
Oh, I'm throwing it out there, right? Because it seems like we're all in favor of him, right? I personally, and I've talked about this before. I think at the level that he is playing, the mistakes that he makes are horrible at the level that he's playing, right?
His team is horrible. See, you struggle to watch a 90 minutes Southampton game. I'm not lying to you.
Wait, let me put you guys to this, right? Not last year, maybe 2 years ago. There was a player, even last year, there was a player who, for some reason, played every single game for the World Cup for England by name of Harry Maguire. Horrible. If he was the last person on the back line, every player is going at him. I mean, even the blind guy is going at him. But David De Gea stood out as a goalie, right? Had more saves than he had like 3 previous seasons, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, David De Gea could have had a horrible game and just blame it on his defenders because they say my team was horrible that season. But he still managed to ball out. I'm not saying Salisu is not playing ball. All I'm saying is at the level that he is playing, the confidence that the team, every manager, mind you, they've changed managers twice, right? Every manager still come and be like, yeah, you are the guy. And yet he consistently tries to makes individual mistakes. It's not team mistakes he's making. The guy need to selfie will pull no more. You know what I mean?
And I get that. But it is on this same show that we've talked time and time again. We're not there for practice.
Yeah.
Starting 11s are chosen in practice. So for me, it's like the coach is the closest person and is the closest ruler to be able to look at a player and say you start over him or you start over him, right? And you're saying 2 completely objective perspectives from 2 different coaches, and he's been consistently being played, right? And the experiment continues where they're trying to find. Look, I don't care who the best CB in the world is. If you, I don't want to say VVD because that was 3 seasons ago. If you throw enough mistakes at Virgil van Dijk, and we've all seen it with our own eyes, eventually he makes a mistake. If the CDM in front of you keeps leaking balls to you, the CB, at some point one is going to get past you. Look at perfect example. You mentioned Harry Maguire. Have you watched Harry Maguire in a game this season with Casemiro in front of him? Harry Maguire looks like a player. When Casemiro is in front of him and he has Fred or Bruno, when he has those players around him, you stand there and you're like, you know what? You're almost for a minute disillusioned to think that he's actually not bad. He is. But because of what is in front of him, do you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's a team game. It's not tennis. It's a team game.
I mean, we all saw that in the World Cup with Bellingham playing in front of him, and all these players playing in front of him. Yeah, so he was actually
who were pushing for him to be the captain then.
Yes, and even as a player, sometimes fatigue can even make you mistakes. Can make you cause a lot of mistakes. Your ball be coming at you too much. You ball may slip with one. You remember yesterday he did a lot of goal line clearance, headers, and all, but he's human. So when the ball comes too much, you lose it. You lose it, and sometimes I wouldn't blame him. You'll be tired. A ball, any moment, your team is under attack.
Sam, your CB is Howard, 43 years old, right? And he's one of the good CBs in the league. He makes mistakes. He makes mistakes.
With experience. He's playing with experience, right?
Yeah. He's what, 22?
Who?
Salisu.
He's 22. But wait. You know one of the mistakes that he's actually prone to, not able to literally not even move his right foot a little bit to clear the ball, even when the ball in us. And that's one of the reasons why he keeps having all these kind of own goals, right? Always trying to force. And that's the thing that one of the things I personally would expect him to do better as a player, have kind of multiple legs. I know back in the day, Misty had that problem where he's only left-footed, so he used to struggle with that.
Don't go further. That is one problem a lot of left-footed players have. Left-footed players find it very extremely difficult to use their right. Lionel Messi is a clear example, but you people don't notice it. But because most players are right-footed, sometimes I also see something a right-footed player could do with the left, but they don't do it. I always say, so you could have used your left, but they just wait for the ball to be on the right and they kick it. Lionel Messi hardly uses his right, but no one complains because he's skillful.
Yeah.
You understand? So I don't think that should be a problem. There are a lot of left-footed defenders who still use their left to play and to kick the ball, use their right to kick. But see, I don't think that is the issue with Salisu.
I think for me, one of Salisu's things is, and this might be just like by virtue of like our upbringing, I don't see him being imposing in games.
yes,
Like when he's trying to control his teammates, one thing I noticed, I think it was like 2 games ago. I forget. There was a what's the FA Cup? Whatever it
the
was.
Carabao. I think I watched
Carabao.
Yeah.
They lost. He would actively walk towards the players, and then talk to them. And I'm like, no, Master, stand where you're standing and yell let them know I'm trying to get your attention. And if anything, you need to come to me, right? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the back line, I'm controlling that back line. So, but the thing is, he doesn't have that imposing personality. So what he does try to do is, instead of like commanding the line and having people move according to his will, he rather cleans up after people a lot. So you see something you're doing wrong, instead of telling you you're doing that thing wrong, Tim, like now that I'm saying this, go back. Because we were watching this game and I was like, why is he like he was in the center, he was like drifting. The ball was not on their side, right? Only to get close enough to the left back so he could tell him something. And I'm like, no, you manage that back line. You yell to him, come to me, and then you tell him whatever you want to tell him and then send him back, right? But he doesn't have that imposing thing. So what happens is when that player keeps doing that thing that he's noticed, but he's not called that player out on, now he's more conscious of that thing. So he's trying to clean up after that player. And then he's found wanted. So for me, I'm like, but one thing I want to say though is I think everything we've said about Salisu, all things that can actually be coached out of him. It's very easy to coach those things out of him.
And
So
just
that's
my point, every single coach, you just not hit the nail on the head, right? If every single coach has given you the opportunity and trusted you enough to take lead of the team, look, being a defense, a lot of people think being a midfielder, you control the game, being a striker, you control it. A defender, you are actually in control. You see everything, kind of like what you're saying. When we're playing on the field, how many times, Misty, when we're playing, Jeff, when we're playing, we just talk to each other. Hey, you point at, hey, Jeff, come here while you're just focusing on the ball, right? Your head is facing the ball, but you're just talking to your teammate. And he did this over the weekend too. I saw it several times, and I didn't want to mention it because I kind of think that's one of the things as a professional it should come automatic. He walks over to you and then leaves his position wide open. Now he has to
so many times.
So again, this is something that as a professional, you just have to be able to know that, hey, this is what I need to. It doesn't even have to be coached. So at what point is he going to get that confident in himself and be like, yo, okay, I could talk to this person. I could control this because I am the only guy who is more experienced enough that all the coaches trust me. When is he going to learn that?
But that's what I'm saying, right? That's why I preface what I said the first time with, I don't know if it's by virtue of our upbringing, right? How many times do we see Ghanaians engage non-Ghanaians like Abrofo or whatever, and then we start kowtowing to them and we don't want to offend them and our Sebe become Sebe. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we always want to find like the politically correct thing. And I'm like, no, like in the midst of war is not when I need you to tell me please and thank you. If somebody is going to shoot me, tell me, look, move. I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what, like, for me, it's like, if I'm a coach, right, simply, what I do is like today, before the City game, I saw their back line, their back four, doing some drills, right, coordination drills. And, like, the way they move is like music. I know he didn't play a good game, but, like, when that center back moves, it's almost fluid the way they all move, and then when he steps, but that's the thing, they're looking to him as a leader, and there's no question about it. And for like the defensive coach who is working with them, if you don't do that, you're on the bench. I'm looking for a guy who can actually follow him. Immediately, you're empowering that center back. He knows that now everybody moves according to his rhythm, right? So that's why I'm like, it can be coached. I don't know if the coaches have not noticed it, and so they're not pointing it out to him. But if a coach notices it, believe me, easily, because a coach sees him as like the prized defender. So we need to build around him. Everybody needs to move according to him. But I think, Sam, the point that you keep making that I'm like, you're making the point we're all making is the coaches are still putting their faith in him. So they're seeing something. They see what we're talking about. They know that he's the guy who's actually going to hold up their line for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so even if he's doing something wrong, for me, it goes back to the question you asked in the beginning around where the players playing scared. I'm like, it comes back down to the coach. The coaches should be watching game tape, see him leaving his position, go have a conversation with his left back and tell him, don't do that again. Next time, yell for him, have him come to you, give him the instruction, send him back. That's how you empower a player. So for me, I'm like, those are all things that can be coached easily into him.
Yeah. Well, you know what, we can go on and on about Salisu, but given that we have just a little bit under 20 minutes, let's move on to this player. His a person close to his agent said he should force a move out of Ajax. And I looked at it, and back in 2018, his price tag was a free transfer. 2020, it was £9 million. After the World Cup, his price tag actually just rose to £22 million, right? He's playing phenomenon in 2020, 2018, 20 to 2020. He played a maximum of 51 games, started more than half of it, and scored just under 15 goals. While at Ajax, he's actually started pretty much all the games that he's played, and scored a lot of goals and assisted in a couple of goals, this season. Do you guys think as the upcoming, if not, arguably, and I'm saying arguably because everybody has their favorite, do you think arguably the best player on Black Stars right now should force a move out of Ajax into maybe the Premier League or something higher?
Well, for me, the issue with our players now is their agencies. Because when they were coming, most of them signed up with not so the elite agents. So they are having issues. See, for their top agent, the Pini Zahavi, Owe Mendes, and other, if Kudus was signed to any of them, he'll be playing for Real Madrid by now. I'm not lying. Yeah, you understand? I don't think their agents are doing enough work because Kamal Dean shouldn't be in Southampton. They came up signed with these regular up-and-coming agencies. They are unable to force moves out. With Kudus' form in Ajax, I think he's playing, anytime he's on the field, he has played better than Anthony. But Anthony was sold for 100 million. So he should, but he needs a good agent, or else they'll still send him to the Evertons and other smaller teams for a small amount, and he will just lose him. He actually needs to change his agency. That's my only issue with Kudus. Because for Kelvin Prince-Boateng at his terrible moment, played for Barcelona at that time, he had a good agent.
Yeah.
So, yes, so football is more politics and connections than your talent.
Football is business.
Yes, it's business.
Aki said it. Or is it football? It's business.
It's business. Kudus is most talented than what's this guy who has been roaming around Europe? He played for Juve, he plays for Chelsea, this striker there. Morata has been, because he has a good agent.
Yeah.
Kudus' performance on the field any day has been better than Anthony.
Easy.
But because of agent issues, look at where he is. I don't think Kudus will get a top 10 team.
I agree with you.
Jeff, go.
Sam, but one thing I want to say is, look, going from the Eredivisie to Premier League, even going from the Portuguese league to Premier League, look at what is happening to Darwin Núñez. I think yesterday he had an interview and he's like, the Premier League was much stronger than you thought. I was like, what did you think was happening there? There's a reason why they get paid the way they get paid, right? And for me, it's like when you watch I'll take this player, Eriksen. Eriksen coming from the Eredivisie to Tottenham, right? I don't think he even came direct. He went to he came direct to Tottenham, right?
Yeah, he did.
His years at Tottenham compared to after he left Tottenham, his injury, and now look at how he's playing. It took years for him to build it up, right? And you have to have a team that is patient to allow you to be able to do that. You can do that at Tottenham. My concern with Kudus is if he were to leave the Dutch league, come to EPL, he better find a team that has patience for him. Because look at what happened to Memphis Depay, right? Look at what is happening to Anthony today. Anthony's not a bad player.
Yeah.
The problem is Manchester United fans don't have the time for you, my guy. For you to come and now figure out, okay, I need to bulk up a little bit. Let me know. It's like my conditioning coach needs to not help me build some muscle. No. The debut goal you get, the next game you're expecting a brace. Next game you're expecting a hat trick. So for me, this is my concern. Is one, his coach, his manager, to Amesi's point, I don't know if they have the capacity to get him into a top team. But even the problem is, in my opinion, if they don't get him into a good team that has like the squad depth for him to be able to take his time to build himself up, like a Tottenham, right? If you guys get into a Southampton and they put all their hopes in him, he won't be able to carry it, right? But then the thing is, if he gets into a really top team and he becomes like a record signer or something like that, that expectation still comes with it.
Right.
You want the middle to like fighting for top four type of team where they have the money, so they have depth. And so you don't have to worry about being the go-to, player that they have. But the thing is, you get your time, maybe you get like 60%, 70% playing time, throughout the season. Then you gradually build on that until you find your footing. It's not easy to come from that league into Premier League and flourish. So all the numbers that you're saying, I'm like, those are all cute, but he's not about to repeat those numbers in the Premier League. He will need, giving him 2-3 years to build himself up. He can't. Look at Grealish left Aston Villa right down the street from in the same league, and look at how long it's taking for him to like now be putting to be stringing 2 or 3 good games together at City. It takes a while. So, and not everybody is Holland. You can't do it, right? So for me, as much as like I want him to have a good agent who's going to be able to like give him the best teams that he can get, I also think the guy's like what, 22, 23?
22.
He needs that building blocks, that step up, gradual step up. And unfortunately, like I don't know, it's either he's going to be really hyped, so a big team is going to buy him and they're going to pour their hopes in him, or he's going to go to a struggling team that is also going to pour all their hopes in him, and he cannot carry it. That's my concern with him.
Before we wrap up, I need you to, give us your take. Now, this is the thing, though, right? He is, me personally, I kind of feel like with his price tag going as high as it is, like, ever, knock on wood, I'm just hoping that, something does not happen to him, kind of give him like a huge step back to the point where teams are kind of scared to push. And I think, Tevez did it, Balotelli at some point did it, Ronaldo did. I'm not saying he's in the same level as them, right? But as a player, if your team, your scout or your agent is not doing it, I think you can force a sit out, which he almost did last season with Ajax, but it didn't work out. Now Ajax is not ready for him to go. Do you guys, last question before we end, do you guys necessarily think that he needs to force his way out, or he's just sit out and just wait for the right time?
That thing to me is a career killer. I call it CLMs, career limited move. If you do it, it sets a precedence. It's something is a dark cloud that hangs over you, because now the next coach is worried, if I don't give you enough playing time, are you going to try and force a move? Are you going to look at what happened to Moises Caicedo, right? So do you really think Moises Caicedo is not going to have the same kind of career he's had at Brighton before all of this thing happened? No. He's not going to get the best or the choicest options when it comes to whatever it is that the coach has to offer. So for me, like forcing a move is something that I've never been a fan of. Even if it's forcing a move to come to my team, like I think Anthony forced a move to come from Ajax to come to United. I'm never for it. I'm never for it, because it becomes once if you end up with somebody because you cheated on the last person you're with to come, you cheated on that person will forever be thinking, okay, are you going to cheat on me now too? So
Yeah.
For me, it's not something that like I play your game, be a professional, play your game, but make it known and clear that look, I'm ready for a move. I'm not gonna force it, but it's not a secret that you're ready for a move, and then continue playing again. That's my sitting out. As a coach, I don't want to bring players who sit out to my squad.
I mean, Steve, why don't you go ahead and just give us a wrap up?
Well, for the like what Jeff said, forcing a move out means when you are going to your next team, you are going to be on fire. You are confident you are going to play above your limits. You should know your worth, but you don't force a move out and you go and
To
go
go
and
to
sit
the
on the
bench.
bench. Your coaches will laugh at you, or you go and your team goes straight to relegation. It means
I'm
you
pretty
failed.
sure Sulemana's coach was laughing at him right now, from his
Yeah.
previous team.
So
Based
for
on his
me, yes,
performance.
he should just relax. He should just fight for regular playing time. Unfortunately for him in Ajax, he's fighting with Tajes, who is the captain of the team, and might always be a backup to him. So I don't know, but he should just cool down. I always say that when you are a bench player, you should just pray for injuries for the for the player playing ahead of you, and hope that when you get on the field, you perform well. The good thing about Europe is you don't know who's watching you.
That's the
You don't,
thing.
yes, you don't know
Look at
which
Tyron
coach is
Malatia.
watching you. Yes, you'll be surprised they'll just pick you up and just change your whole life. So you just be patient. If he's actually 22, as he's saying, there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time for him. You just cool down. You just need one good season.
Yeah.
Enzo played a good World Cup, and his whole life is. I'm sure his destiny has changed. You just need
Uh,
one good season,
I don't see
one
it.
good Champions League. Then you'll be fine. You might be going to a big team like Manchester.
Well, with the summer transfer season coming up,
Yeah.
the summer transfer period coming up, hopefully something will change, because I think I put him in the same category as Enzo, Gakpo, and all these players who not necessarily in the same style of play, but they definitely outshined their previous performance in the World Cup, and they got call ups to bigger teams and everything. So I think he deserves that at most. So
Yes, and wait, to add to it, see, January transfers are the most dangerous transfer, the most riskiest transfer
I mean,
ever.
sorry.
Yes.
Let me add on top of that.
Yes.
What performance influenced January
Does-
signing?
Yes, does not guarantee you quality. Trust me.
World Cup performance will trick you.
Gakpo has been terrible form.
He's been worse than Darwin Nunes.
Yes.
And that's a low bar.
Yes. Yes. So I always say it, see, with the team that is already in motion for you to join in January, it's very few players who will shine in January. See, because when the season has ended, you have a lot of time, pre-season, train camps, team bonding. You start the season on the same vim, the same energy. But for you to just join midway, forget it. You must be supernatural to excel.
Well, we wish we can continue, but run out of time with another show coming up. We'd like to thank our guest for tuning in today. Enoch in our comment section said the last comment got him laughing. He said if he's really 22. Well, I think if he really is 22, everybody else is laughing too. So, thanks for tuning in, Squazzy. Thanks for commenting and everything. As usual, Jeff would like to thank you. I know he's late in Ghana. You guys go get some rest. Misty just dropped. Thank you guys, and thank you guys to anyone who tuned in on our Facebook, YouTube, and our audio streaming platforms. Until next week, Jeff, thank you, and we'll see you guys.
Adios.
All right, bye.